Alright, we're here in Chandler, Arizona at Hobby Action Raceway for the 2019 BK Klassic. This is a memorial race of sorts for the legend Brian Kinwald. We have a lot of his former race partners here, teammates, guys he built cars for, and we're just going to kind of bump through the pits this weekend, follow the race a little bit, but want to really talk to his friends, family, and guys that he worked with for so many years. And we're going to have some good stories this weekend, and we really look forward to catching up with a lot of the former racers here at Hobby Action Raceway.
The vibe out here has been awesome, especially just everyone coming along and talking about Brian, and so it's definitely a different kind of vibe going around the pits and stuff. So it's good to talk about good memories from other races and see all our friends come in from out of town. It's been fun.
All right, we got Greg Hodapp. This is the man right here. Probably got more hours invested in the same room with Kinwald. Since we're at the Kinwald race, we wanted to talk to him first. Number one in the pits.
I'm first.
At SoCal.
It's been a while.
At SoCal. Yeah, so we're gonna keep coming back to you, but this is we'll try to keep it a little bit short, but
here and there. I got stage fright, so you know. So limited exposure. Do it in bits.
Give us a little bit of your that experience when you went to Southern California and then got to because the original SoCal, right?
The original SoCal.
The Garden Grove version.
Yeah. It was a.
Yeah.
Nothing quite compares to that.
And then that's kind of when you got teamed up with Brian, right?
Yeah, teamed up with Brian. We were unassociated for a while. And
you were?
Yeah. Well, I was with before we became teammates. The Old Dust thing. Then he defected, and we were all bitter for a while. And I'm like, heck with this. I'm switching too. I want my teammate back.
Yeah. And ironically, you're probably working on the car that you probably started with Losi here, right?
This is what they had, yeah. Jerry Lamb talked me into driving his vintage car this weekend. I thought I was going to get handed a transmitter. Instead, I got handed a partially built car and tools.
You're like, oh good, an M8. I'll drive it with the M8 and that should be fine. And then you show up and now you got to change a bulkhead.
I'm trying. Hinge pins aren't quite going in. These arms need to be reamed.
You have a limited assortment.
Needs a file.
You have a limited assortment of tools here.
Yeah. We scrounged up a 332nd, a 116th. What is this?
330, 830. No, it's a 1032.
1032. Yeah, it's a wheel wrench. I got pin drive going on here. Anybody got any pin drive wheels for some new slicks?
Yeah, these are the Losi wheels. We got some square fuzzies here. We were just talking about how many pairs of square fuzzies you might have went through over the years.
Hundreds.
Yeah. We were just talking. Billy used to order 50 at a time. Kinwald would match.
One up him by a couple pairs.
Yeah, he wasn't even
wants 50,
sponsored.
I'm taking 52.
Yeah, Kinwald wouldn't even be sponsored. He'd say, I still need 50 pairs. And what kind of fronts we got here?
Looks like Losi 3 ribs, right? Or no, these
aren't marked.
These aren't even marked. These are super prototype.
So this was your car, man. I remember you driving this car, and you were very magical with this XX car. I don't think there's any other car that I remember you driving that was better than this one for you, probably.
Yeah, I was disappointed to see it get shelved.
Yeah.
I like the XXX, but never. Yeah, like you said, I had more success with this than anything.
Yeah, when you drove this thing, I remember one run in particular. We were in Tampa, and back then when the track was, if it was dry, it was slow, and if it was wet, it was fast. So that's when you had to run good. And I remember you running a run with this car on the worst track and running one of the best times. And I was like, I don't know, what is he cutting the track in the back?
I think that was Butler after the rain delay.
You were always so good with this car, and I don't really know what it was with the time period or the car or something, but this thing was so good for you. And you were the closest you were to Brian and beating him several times with this car, right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
When I wasn't
pulling over for him. When you were just legitimately
the
faster.
The teamwork thing, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I remember you won a couple races, the Norkin Nats, was it in, was it Oklahoma?
Norkin Nats in Oklahoma with the double XT and this.
Yep, that was, I remember you winning a race at the old SoCal, was it the two-wheel class?
Factory tool modified, yeah.
Yep.
It was a good race between us.
Yeah, and that, to me, you beat Kinwald straight up there.
Yeah.
And on his track, obviously then, at that point, you were your track too, right?
Yeah. Just as many packs at that point in time.
Yeah, at that point you guys were getting pretty equal, and then Butler, you won truck there.
One truck
in Butler. So there was like a span there. What was it, about 94 to 97?
Right about there. Yeah.
Right around there, where there was Kinwald, there was Greg, and there was Mark Davidas, and then Matt Francis, basically, right? That was the four.
Those were the guys.
Those were the four fastest, and
honored to be mentioned in that group.
Yeah, that's an amazing group. And the one I remember when you won in Oklahoma, you dedicated it to somebody.
My grandpa.
That's right.
Who had passed away the day before the mains.
Yeah. So I remember about that. That was really cool. And I remember because it was really kind of rare back then that stuff like that would happen. We're all so young still. Nobody was really passing away yet. But yeah, you had that happen and then dedicated both wins. So it was pretty cool.
You do have a good memory. I'm impressed with that.
Yeah. So I remember that. I was like, man, that's a pretty classy move. But then you're thinking, you're like, well, I don't want somebody to die, so I could win something and try to dedicate it. That has to happen.
No.
That has to happen.
That was my first grandparent that I lost, so it was...
That was a big deal. And like we were just at the Worlds, and Spencer won there. And then after the mains, he's dedicating it to Kinwald, and I'm just like, it's like, damn kid, he gets to win a Worlds and he gets to dedicate it to Kinwald. That's pretty crazy. I'm like, how do you even do that?
It's his protege.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so many.
Yeah.
So we're gonna bump around a little bit. We're gonna come back to you for some better stories.
I'm gonna prepare. I'm gonna go through the database and pull out a few good ones for you and be ready for you.
All right. Well, let's see this bulkhead we're replacing.
Jerry Lamb paid $42 for this from, I believe, I won't name the name of the place, but
it's kind of on the high side, right?
It's on the high side. They know that they're rare, so they marked them up. I mean, that's what, 1,200% margin?
Yeah, something like that. That's a good, and there's a white one too.
Yeah.
So this would be something that you would have used in these days, was a white front bulkhead.
For sure, and used to fill this bulkhead up with solder all the way up until about that line there. So you got any solder?
Yeah. You're like, it's time to rekindle this magic.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back with you, Greg. This is good stuff.
Thanks, Jason.
All right, we're here with Heidi Kinwald. And Heidi, the wife for Brian Kinwald, of course. And the reason we're here this weekend. So give us a little idea of what's going on here. You came into the RC track, and we got a race going on. It's been a while. probably since you've been to some of these races. But what's it like having a race like this and Brian being in attendance? You know, a special event for him. And how are you feeling about being here and seeing all these old guys?
Yeah, seeing people I haven't seen in 15, 20 years is pretty crazy. And I haven't even been into a track in a good 12 years or so. So yeah, it's great that the community wanted to put this on for him, and just everyone coming out from all over the country to support this, and it's just a great turnout.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, did you, I don't know, what's kind of a strange question, but when you're in the position that you're in with Brian, but do you realize like how much impact he's had with a lot of these racers and things over the years? You obviously see some of it firsthand, but sometimes not.
Yeah, since meeting a bunch of his friends from after who came over to help with things around the house, they really opened my eyes to how important he was in the world of RC and how much he helped people.
Yeah, I mean, it's really amazing. We were talked about earlier with, you know, me and you were talking about people you haven't seen in a while, like Greg Hodapp and these guys. And what I was talking to him about was the interesting part about the RC racing side of things is when Brian, he took these guys under his wing, and they all got to be better racers. And not everybody is like that. There's a lot of people that get friends in this, and their friends don't get better because they have fast friends. But with Brian, people would get better because of him. And
yeah, like Spencer and Tanner and Tommy, like so many of the kids that grew up with us,
yeah,
they've gotten a lot better just with his coaching and guidance and stuff.
Yeah, which is really says a lot about what he's able to kind of deliver on a coaching standpoint. So a lot of these people, it's hard to transition from being somebody that's good at something to then being a good coach, right?
Yeah, totally.
I know for me, helping these guys too is, they're still using a lot of the information that, from Brian and talking to him and learning about these things. And it's definitely impressive to watch.
Yeah, it's great to see how far some of the kids have come that we've been around for 15, 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, so when you kind of started and seeing the racing, you were at the old M&M, right?
Even before that, I started when I was like 14 at K&M in Grand Terrace.
Okay.
So I used to race and run timing before they had transponders, and I ran the shop and everything. So I've been around for a long time too.
So you know your way around the RC track pretty well.
Yeah, maybe not so much anymore, but yeah, I can figure it out.
So, and then when, I think the time when I met you when you were at the M&M track, different racing then, but those guys made kind of like a little bit of a home there.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was always like, kind of anywhere Brian went, he kind of made a home for himself, so at any track. It was always like that.
Yeah, and that was what was kind of unique, and you talk to people today that have memories from those time periods, and there's every once in a while there's a video that'll show up from these times they've had in the pits and stuff, and not only did they spend a lot of time wrenching on the cars and playing and getting better, but they just had a great time, right?
Yeah, everyone always had a great time just hanging out, doing different things.
All right, well, thanks for joining us. We wanted to make it somewhat simple, and thanks for coming out and the support here this weekend. And it's been fun, and we hope to do this again here next year and just kind of have a continuation of this so everyone can always enjoy some Kinwald history, right?
Yeah, totally. Thank you.
Talked to Greg Hodapp earlier.
He's still alive?
He's still alive.
Oh, okay.
And he was over there wrenching on a double X.
He's got to be like 80 now.
He's wrenching on a double X. I think you guys are the same age, if I remember correctly.
We're exactly the same age.
That's what makes it funny. So he's wrenching on a double X, ironically. So I was talking to him about BK because he spent so much time with him. But probably between you and him, you probably, of the people here, probably spent the most amount of time with Brian.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with Brian, whether it be at the track or away from the track. When I first started racing, I met him right away, and I mean, he lived up in the Orange County area, and I lived in San Diego at the time. And he would come down to San Diego and hang out with me and stay at my place, or at my parents' house with me down there, and we'd go race at IFMAR Raceway in Del Mar, which was where the first Worlds was at, was the Ranch Pit Shop in 1987. But the track changed locations a few times, but it was sold to Eddie and Linda, so they called it IFMAR Raceway. And so he would come down there, and then I would go up the following weekend and spend the weekend up and run at RCH or AJB Raceway or M&M, things like that, all the different tracks they had up in LA. So it was pretty cool to spend the weekend. And I mean, from that time, Brian wasn't Brian 100%. Like, you know, he wasn't, you know, the Kinwald that everybody knew at that time. But I knew he was going to be incredible when we were sitting at AJB Raceway one day, and we ran Kyosho Fuzzies. And I don't know if you know what the Kyosho Fuzzy looks like, but it's got the little squares.
It's the crosshatch tire.
Right, it's a crosshatch tire. But it has over 1,000 pins on it. And Brian, between the second round and the main, never worked on his car. All he did was take his tires off, wash them, and he cut every single pin down in half. Which, those pins were tiny.
Yeah.
And he went out and won the main by a mile.
So, of all these times when he would travel down to San Diego and you would go up to race him in Orange County, how successful do you say you were against him on off-road? I know on-road you definitely probably, but how about in off-road?
Off-road, I mean, he was Brian Kinwald. We just, you know, he was very good at what he did. You know, and he was good at what he did because he was prepared to go to races. He had very good knowledge of, he was the best probably with tires of anybody. He knew how to make them go right. He was one of the first, you know, that started putting foam in tires along with Masami. Masami actually did it with cotton balls. Was the very first time that anybody ever put, you know, foam in tires with cotton balls. I mean, we used to run, you know, golds or silvers with like no foam. Remember silver X patterns?
Yeah.
No foam, cut half the X off, half the pin down, and you were ready to go.
Yeah.
And it depended. If you ran gold fronts, you ran no foam. If you ran, or silver fronts, you ran no foam. If you ran golds, which were the soft tire at the time, you had to run foam.
So what cars were you guys running at that time?
We were both running Associated cars at the time. I think they were just, you know, RC10s or, yeah, they were gold tub cars.
So then if you think about the on-road side of things, were you owning them on the on-road?
I wouldn't say owning them. At first, you know, like we would go to races and we would run close together. I never really, I mean, Brian's such a wheel, you don't really own Brian in anything. You know, he can make, if his car wasn't good, he would stay up all night and make his car good for the next day. So that was just one of the things that you always respected about Brian, is he never gave up. He always, no matter how fast he was, he still wanted to go faster.
Thing looks really good on the track. They just watered too. Look at this thing. So when was it when you were traveling with Brian? Was that like around mid 90s?
Yeah.
I remember you did several nationals, 94, 95, right around there.
Yeah. We got to go through it. Well, you know, I don't even know if you know the real story, how this all came about.
No.
We don't know from Associated Losi.
Yeah, but go ahead.
So there was a regional race at original SoCal,
Yeah,
and Brian showed up and he wanted to race 4-wheel.
yeah,
They didn't have a 4-wheel class. It was a nice board sitting there, and so Scotty Roberts let him drive his racing truck, literally just to drive the truck.
yeah.
And next thing you know, dude, that Jim Blackwell and the PA starts talking about, what do you need?
2 countersunk washers.
Countersunk wash?
Remember all the pretty stuff he used to put on his car? That's needed for the servo mount, so the mount can slide around.
A couple of aluminum screws right there. That little top one. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. Maybe one more that looks like that. A little bigger. So he drove the truck and they were talking, oh, what's going on, you know, Brian driving a Losi. Well, we're sitting back and Brian took the end of the table at SoCal. So he just sat there with his big thing right at the end, right?
Yeah.
So his back is like you are,
Yeah.
right? Gene Husting comes up and puts his hand on his shoulder. What's going on, Brian? Brian almost was like white ghost like.
Passed out.
He didn't know what to do at this point. So it was already in the actual, I did all the negotiating.
Okay.
I worked it out with Ernie Pavetti. We worked it out with Pops and Bob Novak that they basically, it was 33% each way. And they paid his salary. So he got $50,000 salary to start. And then basically he got $1,000 from each manufacturer for nationals and TQs.
Yeah.
So at that point, he was making really good money at that time.
Yeah.
The sad part for me is how he ended up at the end. And just like this race, I'm a little bit pissed off would be an understatement of the amount of disrespect that people that made their living from what they learned from Brian Kinwald.
Yeah.
And you can't ever have a second race a second time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This
There's
is
only
the
one first one.
and that's this one.
Yeah.
So tomorrow's too freaking late, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So if you didn't show up, I don't care if you just lost your ride. I don't even care about that.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about.
I know
You
exactly.
who I'm talking about.
I know.
I don't care if he doesn't even race. You should show respect to show up for the guy that made you who you are.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I agree.
And there's a few more people. Just like Brian's dad says, Cliff, if you're out here, where's Cliff at? Where's the little thing up on the screen there from Cliff? Where's anything from these people? My opinion, and this is why I asked him if he would be interested in switching, because I go, you're too good to not get paid for this.
Yeah.
Because here's the deal. He went to Associated, and he worked from 8 in the morning to 12.
Yep.
They paid him $10 an hour. That's $40 a day.
Yep.
And then he would go to SoCal for 10 hours and do all the R&D and get $0.
Yep.
0, 0, 0. Okay, dude. I'm sorry, but I told him straight up. I go, that ain't right. You can get paid to do this.
Yeah.
So, in other words, every sponsored driver in RC that got a contract to drive for money
Well,
should be showing some kind of respect, because there was no memorial service. This is really it.
This is it,
And
yeah.
if you couldn't make the time to come here for this one weekend, lost all of my respect. And I've never been a Pudge fan.
Yeah.
We maybe spoke 10 words in 10 years.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I know.
He always just been a little different. I like Blue Dog.
Yeah.
Like him a lot, but not really into the whole. But I mean, you would agree, right?
I totally do.
If you wouldn't have been here, I would have been pissed at you too.
Yeah.
But since you're here and you've been nice, I can't. So, you know, props to you.
All right, Spencer. We were just kind of getting into a little bit of you talking about some of your favorite Brian Kinwald memories. So let's have it. What do you got?
Oof. We'll go into the vault. The one that sticks out, there's two that stick out that are pretty special to me, but one of the times at the indoor SRS here in Phoenix, Arizona, Brian would come to the track with me. He wouldn't actually run. He would just come to the track and just help me figure out some setup stuff. We would work together on a couple of things with tires and tire sauce or whatever it may have been. But there was a time where I always wanted more steering in my two-wheel drive car, and he always would tell me to add more weight, but like I was kind of stubborn enough where I would like not add more weight, I would try to do it a different way. And it came to the point where he got so frustrated with me at the track that he pulled me over to the side, pulled my car over to the side. I was driving on the track, I was on the driver's stand, he was on the track, and he like came out in the middle of the layout and stopped my car. He went into the corner. I didn't see what he was doing. He threw my car back out, and my car had like the good amount of steering, exactly what I wanted. And I came down after a minute or two of running it, and I'm like, dude, what did I do? And he had the car behind his back, and he showed me. He's like, you're gonna laugh, but I told you I was right. He added like this big brick of weight of mud. Like it was like literally since the SRS, it was like actually like clay. He took a chunk of clay dirt, stuck it to the front end of my shock tower, and threw me out there, and it was like instantly magic with steering. And ever since that day, I've always, if I needed more steering, that's like my first thing I do is add more weight to the front of the car. So that's definitely helped me win a few big races in my career, and it's definitely something that I always keep in my back pocket of doing in the future. So there's a bunch of other stories that I have, but you know, we used to go out in the parking lot after the club racing's over at midnight. We used to hang out there with not just me and him, but just a group of us guys, and we would just talk about old stories he had back in the day and what it used to be like. And you know, he's been a huge part of my career and just kind of believing in myself. He always told me, you know, once you figure out the key of winning races, you unlock a whole new Pandora box, and it's something that he's always told me, and it's something I'll never forget.
All right, Jerry Walters, right?
Yep.
Talk to us about the race here this weekend and being here at the inaugural BK Klassic.
Well, the vibe here is great. Everyone's here having a good time. Everyone's sharing stories and remembering our friend, BK. He inspired a lot of people to become better at the sport. And not only that, he's everybody's friend. And that's the most important thing out of this, is remembering our friend and doing builds that hopefully he would be proud of, and that's why we're here.
So you chose the double X for the vintage class.
Yep.
Obviously, we got RC10s, we got double X's, but let's see this double X. Pull it down here. Let's see. And you just mentioned it took you 3 cars to build this one. So what was the process like getting all the parts together?
The process was getting together with some of the guys on Old School RC and scouring eBay for 7 or 8 months. This is a culmination of about 4 kits, and you find something, you buy it, you put it together, you take it apart again because it's not the BK standards, and you want to make him proud. And this is what it came down to. I've got 3 other cars in my truck outside just in case things break, and we're all coming together. You know, if something breaks, everybody's like, "Hey, I have this part. You know, here, do you need this?" And it's gonna be a lot of fun.
I mean, of all the Team Losi cars, I think this one was definitely my favorite. Let's go ahead and set it right here. I don't know, what was it? Did you run this car in the 90s too?
I ran this car in the 90s, and it was a game changer when I went from the tub RC10 to running these cars. It was by far my favorite car ever.
Okay.
Just because of the time, we were all young, we were all really competitive racing, and then friends like Derek Furtani, Greg Hodapp, and obviously BK, we all became friends, and we traveled around the races, and that was the car that just changed everything in our industry at the time. And it's an amazing car, and I chose this just because it's my favorite car of all time, so wanted to run it, and here it is.
And you know what was really neat about this car, I thought, was at the time, and you could get the plastic parts and their graphite material. That was something that wasn't available at the time, and this car kind of ushered in like a whole nother era of RC off-road racing.
Yeah, I would agree. The technology changed tenfold when this thing came out and Junior designed it, and John Anderson and those guys. And it works great on the track. We're only a couple tenths off of what we're doing on 17.5 with the regular 17.5 class. So it's actually a pretty quick car.
Yeah, I was already watching one, and it's got a really unique look. Of course, the sizes of the cars have changed over the years. You know, you look at a modern car is a little bigger looking, and they're a little. It almost seems like they got wider somehow, even though we have rules and the length is longer. But this rear motor in this configuration, it works well on this track.
It does. The braking points are a little bit different. You have to brake through into the corner, through the corner, not into the corner. It doesn't carry as much corner speed, but it is just a blast to drive. We've had a couple of vintage classes here the last couple weekends on club racing, and we're all coming together, sharing setups, and just having a blast on the driver's stand.
So, all right, let's look at these other cars over here.
Okay, sure.
You got a double bench set up here.
Yeah, I've got my cars over
You're
here.
basically the modern day Brian Kinwald. He would have 2 benches in his day for his equipment. But let's look at this one. What do we got here?
So this is the one I was working on for the event. This is my RC10. This is the Reworlds. I've always wanted the Worlds. I always thought it was a really cool setup. So when the Reworlds was announced, I bought it. I just had to have it. So I've been racing this one 2015, 2016. When it with me to Vegas, it's gone many races with me, and I've learned along the way. So for the event, I decided, all right, I'm going to rebuild it. But I'm going to take an old chassis, I'm going to go through it, and see if I can make it, add some modern flair on it. So Velcro body on an old Classic. I'm not sure how others will see that, but yeah, it's got a different chassis on there now. It's just been powder coated. It hasn't had any modifications to it. It doesn't have the BK touches like the World's chassis does. I had it powder coated locally where I live. So after that, I added some other goodies on there. Another concern of these cars is just making sure you have parts. So I've added some aluminum parts for the front end on it as well. Some custom shock towers with it. And because I like my wing where it stays, I don't like when that was the thing back with an RC10. You'd roll it, and the wing would always be cockeyed or some weird angle with it. So I wanted to put the B6 wing mounts on it, which this shock tower allows me to do. And of course I had to keep the back of the body on it. I didn't like the Masami style, so I had to keep that on there.
Yep.
So I modified that to put on there. I'm trying the 12mm springs on there. This gives me more choices. I don't know why. A lot of shops don't stock the old springs anymore. So the 12mm gives me something to play with. And also went 8mm because after bouncing off the wall a few times and popping the old ball cups, I figured it was time to upgrade.
So let's look at the 4-wheel. Now this one's getting a little more current. This is roughly, which generation are we looking at here?
This was actually just a 22.4, but I just liked that XX4 style so much, I decided, all right, I'm going to put a XX4 body on it, race with that. So I've been practicing with it over the weekend, and as you can see underneath, it's just a pretty standard 22.4 with some modifications underneath the hood. But I'm able to run my XX4 body on top of it.
It's crazy how the XX4 body fits right on here.
Yep. And so I just put the wing mount almost like an 8 scale in the front where you pin the front of the body on.
Yeah.
Got another nose swing there. And I've got the other wing, so I'll be breaking that during qualifying. You know, I probably have a body for beating up on practice and a body for qualifying. So hoping to get that on the track, put a little scuffs on it tomorrow, but it's been working good.
All right, we got Barry Baker here. Multi-time Roar National Champion. Multi-time Reedy Race Champion in the touring car class. Multi-time Worlds finalist. Second place a couple times at the Worlds, I believe. Probably one of the best racers of all time. Still getting it done out here. Also a friend of Brian Kinwald. Longtime friend of Brian Kinwald. which is why he's here this weekend, supporting his buddy, as it should be done. And he's also a competitor with Brian for so many years. Gets a little crash going here, but that happened. But you can still see he still got it. Still can drive. Here, let's see this paint job.
This is one of Kinwald's hand-painted paint jobs.
Yeah. It's not quite the purple with the drips, but as this will
yeah, my scheme was kind of based off of his. Instead of drips, I had waves and stuff. Kind of a team thing.
You know what's funny?
The old Rick Velo style squares. I don't know if anybody knows about that.
Yeah.
Has that story been told? I'm sure.
A couple times. But yeah, Kinwald knows that there's a story where Kinwald pulled a body out of the trash.
That was Velo's.
Yeah.
Asked permission first though.
Yeah.
Hey, are you cool if I copy this paint scheme?
Yeah.
Are you done with this? And Rick's like, go for it.
Yeah.
I'm over it.
So now that's the most popular and copied paint scheme of all
it's
time.
Everywhere. In some way, shape, or form, it's almost on everybody.
Yeah. So then I remember this body in this paint job. This is probably Jerry's body.
Yeah.
Kinwald probably painted it for him because he did the Sharpie outlines. He cheated with his painting. He let it go Sharpie around the drips so you could
cover up his square drips.
Yeah. He figured that out early. All right, we're here with Woody now. Woody came down all the way from where?
Orcas Island.
Okay.
Washington State.
Yeah. And you definitely probably have the most unique car here, I'd say, of all the vintage. So let's talk about this car a little bit.
Well, I got it from a buddy of mine. He was selling it, and I didn't want to see it go to the next racer. So I said, raised my hand, and I bought it from him. And I put it away for probably 10 years, and then the Kinwald Classic seemed to be the perfect time to bring it back out.
So you got like a full inline electrical setup here. You got a shorty battery in line with the speed control and then the servo. And this is kind of a
It's a JRX2.
It's a JRX2 with a long chassis with rear H-arms.
Without the trailing links.
Without the trailing links, yeah. So this is a little bit of a hodgepodge, but mostly JRX2.
Yep. I didn't rebuild it. I got it ready to race and see how it does. I just want to finish. I don't want to break anything. I'm trying to remember the ride height.
Is there a story about the body at all?
The body came with it. I believe Kevin Christensen is the guy who sold it to me, used to race. And I believe he painted it. I'm trying to get the wing mounted. That's the main objective right now.
And then you're also running some short course. You're pretty known for running short course.
My traditional class, short course and two-wheel buggy.
Yeah, it's a nice looking ride.
Yeah, good time.
Sorry. From Raceway, home of the IFMAR World Classic.
Tell us a little bit about Kinwald and your kind of when he was running TLR here, there's a couple cars of his in the cabinet. He ran some with you guys, and just in that short time, what was kind of going on, back? You did some back and forth with him. He did some running, some testing with you guys, and he did some wrenching while we were here at races. And kind of how was that, although it was somewhat short, but how was that experience?
I mean, it was awesome. I mean, I've worked with Brian before in the past, so getting to work with him again was great. I mean, nobody has more knowledge about what we're doing here than Brian, and he was always, even in the old school time, he was always kind of the one pushing the envelope, kind of leading the edge, the cutting edge of what we're doing. And I don't think that ever really stopped, regardless of where his results were at, he was always on the leading edge. And well, I mean, the last time I was here at Nationals last year, when we were running on Monday afterwards, we were running his car and tried his short course truck and took some of that info back and put it into what we're working with setup-wise. And then obviously he's helped out a tremendous amount with tires for Dakota, myself, kind of like getting us dialed in at the races here. because nobody knows the tips and tricks for all these indoor clay tracks or slick tracks the way that dirt does. But yeah, that I always love getting emails from him because he types emails the way that he talks. It's awesome because you just, as soon as you see the email, it's not like, grammatically, formally correct, but it's because of that, right away you hear Dirt talking to you through the email. Yeah. And we sent a couple emails. We actually emailed back and forth more than anything because he would get his crazy ideas at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and then he would email us because obviously we weren't awake, and we'd go back and forth. So that was always a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that you brought that up. I get the same emails from Brian, and you read them in his voice.
Yes.
Which is, it's kind of like when Spencer's dad, Ronnie, when he talks, and you think about him, you think of it in his voice too. And that's funny because that's how it is with Brian, and he actually types like that, like dude, this was awesome, it was dialed, like it's all the same words.
So I tried this and like dude, it was so good. You hear him say it. So I've actually gone a couple times and gone back and reread some emails, and it's almost like having a voice message saved from somebody, kind of hear it all over again,
Yeah, it is, and I'm sure you have photos, the cell phone photos and the emails with photos. I have a bunch of those.
Oh yeah.
With cats in the background, but a completely cut out car, or like, right? That's how they look, right?
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I got a bunch of these photos on my phone and go through them and see all these things, and it's like, then there's a video of him making something, and it's like, okay, yeah, so explain these tools.
All right, so we came to, I think the JC race last year, and Kinwald's like, hey man, got something for you. And I'm like, all right, cool. And he shows up and he has these re-anodized machine, just diff tool on a 5.5 for a whole bunch of guys on the team. Like, he brought like 10 of each. And it's just kind of cool because obviously they look rad, and I keep them in my toolbox and I keep using them, and it just kind of keeps them here at the track with me.
So look, you can show these. Tanner just dropped these off while we were talking, so show these.
Oh man.
And Tanner's got a couple special tools here.
Yeah, so this is a fully machined, looks like drill bit / reamer handle, tap handle. And then I don't even know what this is. This all?
It's a like a stamper.
Yeah. Call that an all tool sometimes. I'll show you something
Pretty rad. Dude, I have so much stuff at home and stuff.
Well, I called him a while back and I was like, hey man, I'm thinking about getting one of these like new smaller irons. Like, which one should I get?
Damn.
And he's like, bro, I'll make you something way better next time I see it. So he made me this iron, and it plugs straight into my power supply, and it's made out of 2 TLR shock bodies and some shock parts, and it has this cool like blue LED light. I can actually show you real quick, but it's one of those things. It's like, I mean, I'll have this thing forever. If the tip ever goes out or whatever, like we're screwed. Well, even if so, like I'm never getting rid of it.
Yeah.
So you can see it's got like a cool blue LED. I mean, this is like completely unnecessary and totally awesome at the same time. Just kind of the essence of the later years dirt. I mean, he made some of the coolest stuff, and he really got excited about this stuff and like wanted to share it. And that's one thing. It's like he didn't just like make these things for himself and kind of show them off. Like, he would make them for his friends and didn't really ask anything in return, and was just really thoughtful that way. Wanted to share the cool. So that was pretty awesome, I think.
Yeah, I think that's another fun point is that, he didn't like come to you and say, hey, give me $200 for this. He was just like, hey, I thought this would be cool and that you like it. And then it's like, you show your buddies and they're all jealous of it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, what are we doing now?
Huh?
We're gonna go bowling?
We're doing the Kinwald Bowl.
All right.
Kinwald Bowl.
Who's the better bowler between you guys?
I know I have the form down. It's like something like that.
What do you got?
I'm gonna be bowling 150s.
Okay. So. All right. Well, let's get in here. First up, the WC. Look at, he's like taking this serious. Gutter ball. Gutter. Got Jason Rona up.
Uh-oh.
The man. You get another one. You get another one. No. Huh? Come on, you get another one. Yeah. It's good luck. It's good luck.
Wait, why are you true boss on that football? I'm confused. I think I had a rule.
I go.
Oh, that's what I was expecting.
Woo!
All Kinwald. Kinwald boys.
I mean, to me it tastes like Kinwald brewer pie.
Is this the brand of choice?
The brand of choice, baby. We got a picture. Hey.
All right, let's talk to us about the start, the first qualifier here, Spencer.
Not very good. I'm very rusty.
You got a 0 for the round. Jackson got a 10 for the round, which is good in this sport, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I got Jack.
All right, well, we'll check in with you after round 2.
When the competition gets a little high, we're gonna be better.
We'll check in with you after round 2.
Everyone out of the pits. I know you guys can hear me in the pits, but I'm asking everyone to jump into the back wall. Also, huge thanks to our pro guys that we have here. So we got a couple little names, you know, current Tool Drive World Champion, Spencer Rivkin, former Tool Drive World Champion, Brian Kinwald, the champions. They all donated a bunch of bodies for the raffle as well. So again, those races we put out stuff to get raffled off. All the money that's getting raised out is going to the Girls Alliance Foundation. We'll be giving them a check, big whiteboard check on Sunday. So Brian came up with a race a long time ago. It's called the Dirt Invert, and basically what it did is it inverted the main event grid on your second and third race, and it'll get inverted again for the third main event as well. So it all hinges on how you can judge the bodies. So we'll be doing that, and I think that covered it pretty much. I think so. Any other questions in regards to the race format or what we're going to be doing today? Main thing is we're here to celebrate the life of Brian Kinwald.
They actually felt pretty good last year. Yeah, oh yeah.
The brother coming again?
Yeah, he's putting in the car in the radio, Brian doing that. Cool.
This one, those legs.
You should check the bowling last night.
I did. I was there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I know. I shouldn't have picked it up like that. It would have. Your friend's shot car would have fell off.
Push it down. They're not that expensive. I can push the social down.
And there's the winner right there.
No jump here.
19.507, 9.509, 10.
Okay, we're supposed to be doing at this race to celebrate Brian and have fun.
Yep.
Yet now people are saying they want trophies.
Yep.
So now it's going to get serious.
Well,
Why doesn't everybody just get one participation trophy? You don't give away first, second, and third, and you have a good time.
If they had a trophy without a number on it in the shop, I would just buy one.
You understand what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
You know, if we're here for fun, why are we not just going to do that? Why do we have to go and put, you know, numbers on it? You know, in fact, let's just run all cars in one main, and whoever wins, you get a pat on the back and call it a day.
okay. What was the Trinity motor spray actually called?
Buggy Blast.
Buggy Blast. This is the one where it had your photo on it, Brian's photo on it, and you have a story about this, right?
I have a can of that. Are you talking about the Narcanets when I was?
No.
Which one are you talking?
I'm talking about there was supposed to be for every can of this motor spray.
Oh man, are we gonna put this out there? Are we gonna put it out there?
We're putting it out there.
Okay, I'll try and make this short and sweet. But during a dinner with myself and the owner of Trinity, before I had signed my contract, and we were talking about any parts that got made with my name, anything that I thought of and designed.
Yeah.
There would be extra cash in it for me. And he said, he used the motor spray as an example. Like, you know, Greg, the motor spray that has your picture on it, that'd be like, 10 cents per can for every one that sells.
Yeah.
You know. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I'm like doing my math, like, so 10,000 is $1,000 and so on. Anyway, that never came to fruition.
Yep.
And
it's a famous can of motor spray.
It's a famous can of motor spray. If you're listening, I could use an extra grand. I mean, I'm thinking you sold more than 10,000 around the world. I think you did.
Hey, but you know what? Not everybody's on a can of motor spray. You had that going.
I've got one of those cans.
And you had that.
We found it in your garage,
We
right?
did. We did.
And he was kind of, I don't even know if it was mine. I think it might have been yours.
I think I found it in Brian's garage.
And I think he was kind enough to say, dude, do you have one of these? I'm like, I don't.
Yeah.
I've never been a collector of my stuff. I've let so much stuff go.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? You're going to give this to me? And he's like, dude, you're on the can. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I just thought that was a funny story.
You're an instigator there, huh?
I am, yeah. It's always a funny story that I hear every once in a while. These are great stories.
I'm not the only one that has a story like that to tell.
I've heard, yeah. But overall, I mean, what do you guys think of this track? You know, being here, kind of doing this event, and just being around some of the old guys and doing some Brian stuff.
The facility itself is absolutely amazing. The dirt is tricky.
Yeah.
I wouldn't miss it in this particular race because I look at this as our chance to pay our respects to Brian since he didn't have an official memorial service.
Yeah.
This is more of a memorial service than anything. I came to hang out and watch. I wasn't even going to race, and then Jerry Lamb threw the vintage car in my lap. So I'm happy to just see some people hang out.
Yeah. The racing is definitely a secondary thing here this weekend.
Yeah.
It's a lot of emotion going on. You know, listening to the tribute this morning or his dad's story, and it just flashed back to a lot of memories. I was lucky enough to really spend a lot of time with Brian in like early 2000s. And
you were doing a lot of the pit guy stuff for a while. You were setting the cars out. I remember I think you were at the 2003 Worlds.
Yeah.
You were in the Kinwald pits.
I was.
He took a hard loss there.
He took a hard loss.
In A3 of four-wheel drive. That one still always gets me a little bit too.
Yeah.
But, I'm sure you were the guy that was in the pits, and that was a tough one. That was the last time I think Brian was in full contention to win a Worlds.
I could agree with that. It was tough.
That was probably the last hurrah right there.
It was, well, I mean, not only that, but like Brian was also our local boy, you know, so it was tough, you know. When you got two friends battling it out.
You were cheering for both of them.
We were cheering for both of them. Probably would have wished it would have gone just a better way, not either or.
Yeah.
But
I remember kind of the official changing of the guard right there.
100% was it. 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I remember watching, just thinking, oh, this guy is ruthless. Like, I don't know if I could do it, but that's maybe why he's also been successful himself in racing. But I'm like, dude, this is cold-blooded, man.
Yeah, it
that was
cold-blooded.
A cold-blooded fitting.
You know, I kind of look at, if you look at Formula One or any top racing, every single person in that field is not happy unless they get first, right? Like, and you have to have that cutthroat attitude to be at the top.
The cutthroat guys are the most successful.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and it was like, you know, and I think when Pudge won it, obviously it was well deserved. He still was fast and made the move, but you had to be cold-blooded to to get it in there. It was the last lap, right?
It was last lap, last jump, last corner.
Yeah.
Full send.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this is impressive that he was able to do it. And I know Brian wasn't happy.
Wasn't happy. Things were a little protest, right?
There was a protest.
It was like 45 minutes waiting to see what they said about it.
Yeah. And they said, sorry, nope.
He sent it in just enough and slid to the point. They were side by side.
Yeah.
It wasn't a T-bone, spin him out and go.
No.
It
was questionable.
It was questionable.
Both
it was
ways.
aggressive, but it was side by side, and
yeah.
Brian's car just didn't like getting tapped the way it did.
Nope.
Scared of cameras.
All right, Ronnie, tell us about you brought a car with you here that Brian Kinwald built for you.
I did. Yeah, Brian built that car for me like a couple of years ago. I asked him, I says, Brian, can you build me just a stock basic car? It doesn't have to be anything special, but something that I wanted just to put on the track and see if I can able to get around it without breaking it. Well, I went around the track once and I almost broke it, and I says, I think that's gonna be it. Spencer says, Dad, just put it away. You don't want to break his car. So I did. I put it on the shelves in Spencer's cabinet, and I put it away. And I really wanted to come here and run it around the track and race it. And Spencer again says, no, don't break it because it's got all the Kinwald original parts and turnbuckles and stuff on it. He even painted me this body, SR Racing body for me. And put SR on the back of the body. Doesn't even have a scratch on it, so.
Yet.
So I'm just gonna
Let's tip up the car. Let's see what the inside of this thing's like. Yep, he's got everything mounted in line. This is a B5. This is the rear motor B5.
Yeah, this has got the motor in the back. It's got this fancy little, I guess this is a sway bar.
Yep.
Potty put on it.
Yeah.
He told me it was a really easy car to drive. I should try it. It's got a stock motor. He's got the Kinwald turnbuckle things in the back there with his shrink wrap thing on the back of it.
So what? And then let's see your radio. He got you a radio here.
Oh yeah,
too.
yeah. He also gave me an older radio that he's had forever. He customized it and put some weights on it to balance the radio on it.
And he's got a full carbon front on it because he moved the wheel down.
Yeah.
He moved the wheel from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, yeah. I guess he was comfortable using that way. Mm-hmm. So he says,
hey Ronnie, I think you have to mark.
don't do anything to the radio. Just use it and enjoy it.
All right, we'll let you get out there to turn marshal.
Yeah, I got to get on the track and turn marshal now. All right. Thanks a lot.
Show and tell is over.
All right.
All right, we're back here in the pits. BK Klassic. We got Ethan here. Tell us about the car. Double X, Losi Double X.
Yeah, Double X CR. New to me. I started back in the day with a Triple X CR, so a little before my time, but it's been a blast.
So you got this thing tricked out, and it's one of the better looking ones here, I think, and you got a lot of weight in here. What's going on with all the weight?
I learned just for the weight is to compensate where they used to run the nickel metal. I did run it without, and it definitely had a lot of rear traction and push, so started adding some weight to compensate for the nickel metal, started gaining the steering in it, and had to get it up to, try to get around 1,500 grams.
Good. So you got kind of a little competition going on this weekend with the Associated guys. They're rocking the RC10.
Absolutely.
A couple of you guys got the double X's. You and Jerry and several others. What's the shakedown looking like right now? You guys, I know it's been going back and forth, right?
Yeah, it's been going back and forth. I think it's going to be an exciting main. It's definitely going to be I think a freight train, and just whoever doesn't make the mistake. It's going to take that one person to go a little wide and then sneak it in.
You know, it reminds me, because when I am from this generation racing these cars, and I was running the RC10 at the time, and we were racing against this XX car, and it looks like such a much more advanced car than the RC10.
I agree with that 100%. Like, I was just talking to Spear and Lego out there and looking at their steering assembly and just like looking at the plastic. I'm like, that thing's got a flex. Like, how is that not broken? It definitely looks more a modern car to me.
Yeah, and you know what? We had to race against this car for many years, and we still had success. I mean, even Mark Pavitas, myself, we still ran well with the RC10, but I think this was the better car during that time period before they could take a next step up. But yeah, it's still working really well out there, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's by far, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's one of those, I took a break a while back and I got back into it many years ago, and I started with the rear motor, and it just brings back so many memories. It's like, I watched some videos of the car run around the track, and it does not, like, to me, it looks pretty good compared to the newer stuff, mid-motor, but it's right there.
All right, we got Riley back here in the pits, and in between rounds, you're heating them up right now. What's going on this weekend, and what class are you running?
So this weekend I'm running a 2-wheel drive stock buggy and 13.5 4-wheel drive buggy. The reason why I'm heating them up now is because they're a newer set. Just kind of double sauce them and kind of break them in. I ran these tires last run, some aqua compound, dirt web Venezas. I'm going to save those for A1 because I'm sitting third overall. I think it's pretty solid. So I'm going to get another set broken in because we're on a AAA mains. So I'm just going to do a little double saucing, try to get them broken in a little bit more. They have 3 or 4 runs on them already. 4 wheels running well. I decided to go with clay compound on those guys just because I want a little bit more give in the corners for the racing. Usually the yoke 4-wheel has a lot of steering, so I think with the clay compound it'll benefit me a little bit more. Tire choice is working out really well, so the third in that as well. So everything's going pretty well this weekend. You can't complain. Everything's working amazing. Can't thank my sponsors, Yoke, J Concepts, Hobby Wing Sure Speed, 1UP, RC Machine, and Shell.
Got Nate. Hello. What's happening, man?
Nothing much. Just getting my 4-wheel ready to go in a little bit.
I noticed on your car here, you kind of got a few trick things on the 2-wheel.
Yeah.
Tell us about the turnbuckles. You got a little machining done on the shock collars, and what's the inspiration?
Pretty much BK. Like, these ones I did gray a while back, maybe like 2 years ago, and I actually showed BK those ones to, kind of get his approval, and he thought they were pretty cool. And then once he passed, I decided to kind of bling him up a little bit with the gold and the blue. The machining and stuff we did last year. Me and my dad, we worked at a aerospace shop, so we had like access to some of those machines. So we just had a good friend of ours kind of put them in a lathe, and yeah, we got away with behind the boss's back a little bit with those.
Well, it looks good. Good luck. Cars are looking good. We're going to have to get that fresh paint job on your 4-wheel.
I'm waiting on it.
The purple, yeah, we got the purple on that one, but good luck. We'll see you out there. For sure.
I told him if you beat my friend is running the main. How'd you come here and not race?
You know, my tires are racing for 3 hours. Partial plus probably 1 or 2 couple clears. So I'm thinking 7 and a half. So 1 extra. A partial hop off on the right side. Back tire stuff over here.
I know. I'll make sure he's good on brakes. The dual rate, if he wants to turn it down. Grip came up, so. He's already leading the pack. Look at that. Oh. That's me.
That third, everyone is done. Jerry Walter, taking away 17 to 5, 07.8. Scott Pierce, 17
How was it out there?
Fun.
Was it easy? It looked easy to drive.
It is super easy to drive.
That thing looks sweet out there, man.
You need to drive it.
Looks pretty sweet.
I got it. It was awesome. I let you down with the 2 rail slides, but
You would have had a 16.5 flat. I'm like, he's gonna beat my time. I'm like, he's running the mains. And then, I don't know what happened. You got by yourself and got confused.
Yep. All right, we're here in the sauce room at a Hobby Action. Spencer's clearing the road here.
Gosh, it's dirty in here.
So tell us what we're doing here.
So I usually, well, no, for here for sure, I always burn in my tires with a rag, lick a wrench, got my tires, and I got my drill. What this does is actually putting pressure with the rag onto the tire gets the rubber really hot, and I spray the sauce on the rag to absorb into the pores when the rubber is actually hot. So the rubber opens up the pores when it's hot, the sauce gets in, and it actually just penetrates it a little bit more than normal. Then when you would typically just sauce without heating them up. So this is just a much more extreme way.
So we got 1 run left in qualifying. Right now you're sitting, what, 2nd?
No, I think I'm 3rd.
3rd right now.
Something like that.
But with a good run, could go right to TQ.
Very possible.
Or?
It's rock around.
It's rock around. Anything could happen. So we're going to get a little view of what we're going on here.
Wait till it starts smoking for a few seconds, and that's when I know it's kind of done. And then on to the next one.
What class do you run? Just 17.5?
Yeah, just stock 2-wheel for this event. Unfortunately, didn't have my 4-wheel in time, so just running 2-wheel this weekend.
Good. Let's take a look at this thing.
Yeah.
You got this thing pretty nicely equipped here. It's a pretty clean build.
Yeah, it turned out pretty good. I'm happy with it.
Anything special you've been doing this weekend to get it dialed in, or not really?
It's my basic setup for Hobby Action. Just with the track, traction coming up, my car's developed a little bit of push, so I'll probably tune in a little bit more steering. But other than that, it's my normal setup for Hobby Action.
Good. Yeah, I mean, just wanted to look over the car here a little bit. Got a couple custom machine parts here and there. Kind of a little bit of BK influence here, right?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, BK can never leave anything stock. He always had to, put his touch on it. So I figured if I'm going to build a new car for this event, I might as well do a few customized pieces, like how he would. So.
Yeah. Well, good job. We'll look for you in the mains, but thanks for joining us, and good luck.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, Alex, we're here at the BK Klassic. You spent a lot of time with Brian, actually. Tons of time at competition hobbies, and doing a lot of stuff with X Factory, and you guys have a lot of experience together. And what were like some of those days you spent with Brian, and a lot of the wrenching you guys did, and car stuff, and what was that? Explain a little bit what that was all.
So a lot of it with Brian, he would always have sort of a trick for everything. Like when we were building the first X Factory stadium trucks, he was showing the way to cut apart plastic chassis, glue them back together just a little bit longer, taking 2 chassis, and then boom, you have a stadium truck with a little bit of body mounts, and you have a car that no one else has. And little things like that, whether or not it was the stadium trucks, just the trick wiring he did, the cutting apart of it. He showed me how to cut cut apart tires, glue them back together, make your own, make like, you know, if there wasn't a tire made for the front of your car, it just didn't exist, and you wanted this rear tread, you could just cut it apart and make it. You could have anything you wanted with just a little bit of time, well, a lot of time, and work. And that was kind of what Brian always showed me. If you wanted a truck, you could make it.
So we'll go over your car here a little bit. You got a couple little trick things on here I noticed already. You got some turnbuckle stuff, you got some colored stuff, you got, so go over this stuff a little bit here and tell us why you did it.
So this was done for, Brian did this for me before the INS last year. The shock caps was always sort of one of his specialties, with putting them up on his mill, then doing a little anodizing on the area that would be shaved off, getting those little green rings in there. I'd always asked him for the longest time as he was doing turnbuckles, because green is a very hard color to do for titanium. He finally managed to do these kind of blue-green ones, which I've been bugging him for a long time. Kind of little bits of green anodizing kind of all throughout. Rear block, rear hubs. The motor plate is also in there. It's a little harder to see.
It's green too?
It's green too.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Right in there.
Oh yeah, the double anodized.
Yep. And the servo mounts. Brian really went all out when I gave him parts for this car. And that was kind of the thing that he was really known for a lot up here. That was when he was really getting into the anodizing of titanium and aluminum, and really perfecting and doing it really well, especially with the shock bodies, how he machined them first and then anodized them to get the really trick effect.
And Ben, losing it early on. County High filming that 14-9 out of Denny, 15 flat out of Rivkin, 15-4 out of Swanson, Gillespie, 15-5 Ruskin with a 15-8, Jackson with a 15-8.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing we haven't brought up yet, is the format. You know, the dirt invert format, which, you know, we came up with for the dirt invert races several years back, where all three mains are going to count, and it rotates around depending on the finishing order. So this thing is not over. This is going to be a long race tomorrow.
Yeah, with the inverted style format, and on top of that, all three mains count, which is something that people have forgotten already about. So, yeah, I mean, you can easily break your car and
you
just
can
be
qualify
out.
really anywhere here, and
yeah,
because
I mean,
at some point you're gonna have to start in the back, even if you win a main. So you can start anywhere, and that's the idea: is can you win from anywhere?
Yeah, that's what Brian always said, is if you're one of the best, the best guys will always rise to the top at any occasion, and we're gonna live it out with his format and see how it ends up.
So we're doing the Kinwald race this weekend. We got the vintage class going. We talked about it a little bit already.
Yeah.
Let's see this car. Show it here. I'll try to see. Yep. RC10 World's car, right?
Yep, RC10 World's car re-release. Had it about since they came out. I've got, you know, the J Concept steering and stuff on it. I'm the only guy running the big bores. Found the front shock tower that was designed for big bore group, stuff like that. And then I ended up putting Kashimas on it this couple days ago just for this race to kind of make it look like they were hard coated, so it didn't stand out quite like a sore thumb. My black shock parts didn't come in to hide it better, but you know, we got custom made front weight, ounce and a half up front like we always used to run. Kind of center line electronics to control the chassis pitch on these old cars. Standard 17.5, 3DS Plus, stealth tranny, nothing in the drive lines modified, it's all re-release. Standard B2 slipper, but just kind of wanted to keep it as original as we could, but give it some modern day reliability, because as we all know, back then the cars, they weren't always the most reliable, they didn't always finish races, so you know, we kind of put the old school, I put a 410 in it because I had a couple of those laying around. greedy servo, just trying to keep the weight center. But really, the car really drives well. I mean, a few of us vintage guys are actually running times that would be bottom of the A, top of the B with modern day cars.
Yeah.
On a pretty high bike track.
Yeah, I mean, you're your second qualifier with this.
Yeah.
We got one double X over here in front of you, right?
Yeah, I've got Jerry over there with the old double X. And then Lake's got his World's re-release as well. We've got Vinyl there with another double X, and there's a good group of the world's cars and double X's. There's one PRX1, one B2. I think next year I'm going to build a B2 for this race because it's got to be 95 and down, so you can't have the B3 front end. They have a B2 front end, but those are kind of hard to find.
But you said you like the B2 front end better anyway.
I do. It's so much more forgiving, and I think on a high bike track it would be a whole lot better than the B3 would.
Yeah, I mean, watching it looks like you're really comfortable on this track now.
Yeah, definitely getting better.
Yeah, I mean, I see even your mod buggy times are good. You're basically right there in a lot of the qualifiers.
Not bad for an old guy. You know, we're getting it done.
Yeah.
Just kind of, I was stoked to make the main, and I'm looking forward to the mod buggy mains with the B6. But my heart and soul's with the vintage class. I'd almost rather run 6 mains with this.
I'm right there with you. I like it. And the cars are handling this track really well. The part that really surprises me, I guess, is when I think back is we used to race this car, and we used to race the double X, like what you're doing today, but if you look at the two cars, they're so dramatically different.
They are. Well, see, remember when that car came out, the double X, we had just gone from this to a B2, because they ran the B2 at the 95 Worlds, the Worlds that Matt Francis won. And that was, I think those two cars were better matched than this car and that car, because like the way this car lands, it falls out of the air and is kind of ugly. Those cars come down and they touch down very soft, very easy, and they don't lose control.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it was always the associated Losi battle, you know, over at M&M Hobbies in Corona for the Reedy races and the Summer Classics. You know, when we went from the B2 to the B3s, and then they got the double X, the triple X, you know, the triple X kind of outshined the B3 pretty big. You know, but that was, I guess for me, those were some of the best days racing. Those were some of the days that, you know, those are my best memories of racing.
Yeah.
You're watching our vintage teammate event. You have to put it on. Dirk needs to look inside and pull it out. LP. Moving it down the front straightaway. Associated. Cliff Special. Let's go, Cliff.
All right, Barry, we're heading out here pretty soon for your main event. And I see you're still having fun, this time with the tire warmers. I know this is how you have fun.
Oh, yeah.
So talk to us about how this main event's going to go.
We're going to take off the line, and then we're going to play it by ear.
Is that how you do all your races?
That's pretty much how you do all your races, unless you're up front. You know, if you're first, you know, your plan is to take off the line, not make a mistake, and win. So.
All right, let's take a look at this car. All right, tell us about the tire heaters.
I don't know. They said you got to warm up your tires, so I warm them up.
I mean, you're familiar with these things. You used them.
Yeah. Yeah, they make the sauce soak into the tire a little bit better. So when you put sauce on them, it gets into the tire. So the actual compound, the sauce itself is farther in the tire and doesn't wear out throughout the run as easy as just being on the top layer.
So we're back here in the pits again. The mains are starting to come up. Andrew's up soon, right?
Yeah, up next.
And Greg's still over here, still prepping for the vintage finals.
Yeah.
Triple finals in the vintage class. Invert format. You got any predictions? You squeaked her in there, right?
Squeaked it in. Made progress every run.
Yep.
I'm on legit tires now, slicks. No more of this treaded M3 square fuzzies with ribs. Not quite there. Felt pretty fast for what it was, but when somebody turns underneath you and
Yeah, they're gone.
They're gone.
Okay.
Looking good.
Yeah.
Nowhere to go but up, right?
Well, the thing, you know, the interesting part is being low on the starting grid now is the way that's going to shuffle. This could kind of
be starting on pole round 2.
Yeah. So the car could be coming around just when you start on pole.
Yeah. It's part of the plan, actually.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I've been creeping up on it.
Yeah. All right. And how about you, Andrew?
I'm ready for the B main.
You're up in 5 minutes, you said?
5 minutes. Got Barry Baker, Billy Fisher.
One shot at glory.
One shot at glory. It's all
We
coming down.
quickly interviewed Barry. I showed it. He was just having fun with his tire warmers over there.
All for show, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how much they do. I mean, as I use mine.
Yeah. Let me get them warmed up. All right, so any predictions?
He was going to retire again this weekend.
There was a couple people hoping, I think. But yeah,
I think this main format is going to be interesting.
There's no getting rid of Barry.
No. I asked him, I'm like, so how many times have you retired and came back? So what's the official number? And it's more than one, but it's only one in the social media age where you can announce it like to everybody.
Yeah, okay. So that's good. Yeah, there's usually a little sob story that goes with it, and little tear jerkers.
I fought the driver's stand, and the driver's stand won. As a, wearing a cast.
That might have been the official retirement.
Yeah. What did the driver's stand do to you, Barry? That made you want to punch it? Love you, Barry. Just having fun.
Poor guy. Poor guy.
It wouldn't be the same without him.
It really wouldn't.
No. He's the fabulous one for a reason, man.
All right, Scott, you said you had to get Richard's stuff ready too. And this is where you're doing it.
Yep, getting it all done.
So RC10, you push the wing in there.
Old school wing wire.
Yep, and you're sauced up. Car's ready. A1. Where does he start? Third?
He starts third.
Okay. So
right behind me.
Yeah. And you got to prep his car. Is your car ready too?
Yeah, I got to go toss it next, and then sauce it and get it ready, and then it's battle royale.
All of you racers, as well as Hobby Action, our economic boss, got a check for the Crows Clash Foundation meeting. Anticipated $2,500. Well surpassed that. Up to the $6,000 mark. Go to the Crows Clash Foundation. So, thank you for everyone.
Thank you so much. This is amazing. I use real process. This is fabulous. So I've learned a lot in the last 20 minutes since I arrived here, and I have to tell you how much I admire your passion for your hobby and your passion for your friend Brian, who I'm sorry you lost this past year, but what a wonderful tribute and legacy to his memory and his contributions to your hobby and sport that you do. So on behalf of the Crohn's Players Foundation and the over 3 million Americans with inflammatory bowel diseases, thank you so much. This will help to support research in treatments so that folks like Brian can live healthy, long lives. So that is our goal, that's our mission, and I just want to thank you all. This is just incredible to be here with all of you. I can't wait to do this again. This is a lot of fun. I've learned a lot. This is great. So again, thank you so much. Thank you to the team here for doing this memory of Brian, and thank you to all of you for supporting it. I know you come from far and wide. It speaks volumes about Brian and his memory. So thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here today. I appreciate your support. Thank you.
I was trying to hide behind things.
Tell us about that come from behind victory.
I didn't deserve it, but it worked out.
Yeah, I thought you had that one last crash. I thought it was over.
Yeah, I made a mistake at the start that I shouldn't have made, and then from there it was just trying to hold on for dear life.
But you're changing the numbers out. Going to 11. You know what's amazing here is if you did finish last in the first main and start on pole for the second main, you have the speed.
I don't think I have the speed. Like I said, I'm going to laugh the whole time and have fun.
All right, we're here with Randy Locken. Randy, longtime racer, big friend of Brian Kinwald, and talk to us a little bit about running the race this weekend and kind of having a race for Brian and kind of what that what's that meaning to the community here, and how do you see the race going?
The race is going pretty good. It's mostly a lot of locals here, which Brian had a big influence on a lot of locals. I don't think there's a person in this building that hasn't learned something from him at one point throughout the last half dozen years or so.
Yeah, he's just a really influential guy. You can see that there's people that came from competition hobbies.
That's right.
And just kind of where he was racing, he got a little bit of a following and some friends from each track, and a lot of those guys are showing up here, right?
Yeah, pretty much all of them are. And at any random time, you could go to Brian's house, you'd be invited over, and he would share with you secrets, more or less. He was always open and willing to share. But obviously, he kept some stuff to himself, the entire prep, and some other stuff. But for example, my four-wheel buggy here, Brian built this for me. You can see it's lightened for a TLR. It's lightened. That's all Brian's work. I haven't ran this car in a year and a half, but out of respect, I'm running it because Brian built this car for me, and it's going to go back on the shelf when we're through here. But you can see it's very, his work is very clean, and you pay very close attention to the details.
So you got you do popular online's the RL power supplies,
yes,
right?
Sir.
So talk to us a little bit about these power supplies and what makes these so handy. And I notice a lot of people do use them.
Well, what we found when everybody started using the iCharger, we were taking two bigger power supplies and stacking them together, and it was very cumbersome and expensive. I stumbled across some server power supplies that could be easily converted that put out ample power that had a very small footprint, as well as a handful of other people discovered them as well. I made one for myself, then a few locals wanted to buy them. Then I started buying them in bulk to get the cost down and pass it along as savings to the fellow racers that were trying to pump ridiculous amounts of power into their battery.
Yeah, so, I mean, and this is not something that you're new to. I mean, you've been doing RC as long as probably Brian was, or maybe even before. I was watching a video on YouTube, I'm sure you're very familiar with it, where you guys were playing with some RC10s in the sand.
Yeah, at the beach. That was a fun day. That was with Cliff Lett and Jay Halsey and Mark Benitez and myself. We're making a promotional video, I believe, for a model fair or something of that nature. It was a lot of fun. I believe that was about a year or so before Brian came onto the scene. One thing I remember is when he was first showing up at the track with his buddies, he would ask questions and we would mess with him a little bit. We'd give him misinformation, and then we'd laugh, and then we would help him and show him the correct way to do it. But he stuck with it, and eventually he became the guy answering the questions. So when he first started out, we had a little bit of fun with him.
So, and then you got some car stands here. You just kind of supporting Brian in the cause.
Yes. We made these car stands. The proceeds are going to Heidi, his wife. No one's really getting, no one's making any money off these. We're passing along the proceeds to Heidi just to help her out. It's a nice feature for if you have a collection to put on your shelf with your collection.
So you're one of the rare few that really kind of got to go through a lot of Brian's stuff after his passing. And what was it like just looking at all this stuff that he's got?
It was very overwhelming at first. First, there was very few people who were allowed in his garage. But when you stand and look in his garage, there was stuff everywhere. You couldn't walk through there. Just sorting through, and we would find things buried in boxes with an inch of dust on it that's something he was tinkering with maybe 25 years ago. You stop and think of where his mindset was. He was ahead of the game on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just some of the stuff that you're able to kind of bring out, and then they got in the cabinet here inside the shop. I mean, just kind of some incredible projects, and it's funny because there's some of them that are all fully together, which seems almost a little bit rare for him.
It is. He did a lot of work, like as he did for myself, where he built cars for people and tuned cars for people. And usually he would hand you a Ziploc bag full of your old parts, your old screws or whatnot. It was kind of interesting because we would find boxes and boxes of Ziploc bags with half a cars in them, of used parts from when he worked on somebody's car. He would just clear off his table, dump everything in a bag, and just toss it aside. We came across probably 30, 40 of bags of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, you look in the cabinet, and one of the things that I really like in there is that jacket, that Team Associated jacket. And I know I talked to Heidi for just a little while, and she said that you guys kind of found that, and it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was really interesting, and the fact that he held on to it. And we would find stuff like that buried. It wasn't out in the open on display. It was buried in dirty blankets and old clothes, and it was just, from moving, you just throw everything in a box, and it was one of those boxes. We also found a transmitter case that was 0 or 500 that was brand new, still in the package, wasn't even open. That was a good find.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of cool things in that cabinet. Do you have anything in there that really stands out to you that you really like? Or I know I really like the car Cedric built for him because he doesn't have the original.
Right.
But you know, there's a lot of other cool things in there too.
Yeah, he had a vintage RC10 that he ran himself where he had LED lights on the bottom of it, so it would glow when he went around the track. That was one of the few complete cars that we found. I think that was the most memorable find out of everything.
All right, well, good. Well, thanks, Randy. I appreciate all your support and helping out Brian there and clearing out the garage. I know that wasn't easy, and
that was quite a task. It was a bit overwhelming.
But good luck today, and the cars are looking good, and it's nice to see a lot of Brian's work out here. Been talking to a lot of people, and there's a lot of his work out here in the pits today.
There's more than you realize.
Yeah, very. And so we'll see you. Good luck, and thanks again. Show us this expert tool you had here, Greg.
I really don't want to do that.
Just a second ago, you
was kind of a butcher. Trying to got some funky stuff going on with the offset and trying to make these wheels work on this car, and that's my wheel wrench right now.
That's good. I mean, I'm sure you've used that a time or two.
Yeah.
Is the car getting any better?
It's much better.
Major leaps.
Where'd we finish in that first one?
6th.
Okay, so it's moving up the pack now. You're starting to get competitive here.
Like I said, I'm creeping.
Yeah. So this thing's not over yet. You had your shot at Barry there. And,
I had it and I blew it hard. Blew it hard. Hey, but I got hot lap, so
okay.
Happy with the B-main hot lap.
All right, Richard, we're here in the pits. You got the RC10 ready to go. We talked to Scott already. Scott's had this thing prepared for each race.
He's my mechanic.
He is the mechanic. He had your car ready before his, I will note too, which is pretty nice.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So we're here for the BK Klassic, of course. You spent a ton of time with Brian at a competition.
Yep.
Hobbies, a little more local to you. But talk to us about those days a little bit. I mean, you don't have to go too crazy because we only have so much time here. But just, you know, what are some of your quick memories of kind of running the racing with Brian there all the time?
Yeah, I mean, it was really humbling when Brian moved down to Tucson. Moved down there because of the dryness of our climate. But when he walked through the doors and he's like, "Yeah, this is gonna be my home track now," it was really humbling because, you know, here you have a former national world champion coming into your home track saying this is going to be his home now and you're going to race with him every weekend.
Yeah.
And you know, some of the best memories I've got, you know, racing with Brian at competition, we would you know, after we got done racing on a Friday or Saturday night, we'd sit and hang out in the pits till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, talking setups, talking, hey, we can do this car, we can do that. Hey, look what I'm doing with this graphite dust. I mean, it's just, we're always sitting there tinkering. And that's the best memories I remember of Brian, was just sit in the pits and talk and shop. You know, we can race RC cars and have the camaraderie with everyone that we have, but you know, those memories are really what stick out with Brian.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's something that he carried over from his California days. I mean, that he had that everywhere he went. He kind of attracted a crowd of racers.
He did.
And people kind of gravitated towards him for his speed and his knowledge, but he was pretty good buddies to a lot of these guys.
He was friends anyway. I mean, you could, no matter what brand of motor you ran, no matter what brand of car you ran, if you're having an issue with something, he would always be the first to help you out. If you needed help with tires or, you know, radio setups or anything going around the track, he was always there to mentor and help, and you know, very, very approachable. And you know, I remember when I first started racing, you know, way, you know, not that I'm going to date myself that much, but you know, I'd see him show up at the track and have his easy up, and I'm like, that's Brian Kinwald over there. And you know, it's like little magic stuff goes on in his pits. So, but then, you know, getting to know him on a personal level, it was definitely one of the best times I've had with racing, most certainly.
What you got, Nate?
Champlain
you got
body.
okay. B5 body and the pan car body.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So
the Choice body.
110. 60, so that's 170. And what else? The Champion.
So I'm bad at math. What was that? 80, that's 90. 250, right? Yep.
All right, Greg, we're back here in the pits after an amazing A2.
Go Seahawks.
An amazing A2 coming through the pack. The car's just starting to come together
The
here.
car's good, but that first turn, after the first turn, clipped the pipe, I was dead last.
Yeah.
We got to put that in there. We drove through the field, casted the lure, reeled them in.
Yeah. So things are starting to come together here. It's maybe one main late.
Maybe one main.
But you could get snatch maybe a podium out of this thing.
Maybe. We will see.
Yeah.
Lap times are a lot different than they were yesterday.
So now it's all coming together. Andrew, he's been watching this whole thing from the beginning.
I have been. He's I told him he's got to.
There's a little bit of sprinkles came out that
Some
time.
sprinkles came out. He's got to put in some more work, and he's going to come back next year and win the class, right?
I've got a year to prep the car for next year, so it should be pretty done.
Not just the one day you show up and everything gets thrown on you.
What is this?
Yeah.
Maybe
I got
some
a car.
proper tools. Yeah. A real wheel wrench. Yeah.
A real
wheel wrench.
Okay, so the pliers is how we currently take the rear tires on and off.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like going full circle, essentially. All right, Jerry, let's see the car here, the winning car.
This is two-wheel drive.
2 wins, and was a third in that last one?
2 wins and a third. Yeah, I took it easy in the third one because I just didn't want to break. As long as I didn't break, I had the overall. So.
Yeah, it looks good. The car handled well. The impressive one was the second main, right? You started last, came all the way up, and got into the lead, and the car looked good the whole time.
Yeah, it was fun to drive. We had a great group of guys. We were all helping each other out all weekend. We're having a blast with the class, and yeah, I can't see anything more.
All right, well, congrats, and we'll see you getting your trophies up there.
All right, thanks, Jay.
We're done.
We're done.
You got a great start.
Car
in that
was
race.
good.
The wing fell off.
I made an adjustment to the wing wire, and apparently it didn't hold as good as it did before, and it was falling off.
But the
car was amazingly much better than it was earlier, though.
Yeah, that looked like you kind of had some game there in that one. And then the wing fell off, and it was like, maybe that was about it. But, so, good time, though, right?
Finished 5th overall, I think. So, good time.
And obviously,
the main purpose of this was to come out and have fun and talk to everybody and see old faces. Pour one out to dirt.
Perfect. All right, well, thanks for coming. Good job. Good seeing you. And
thank you for all the press.
Yeah, man. No problem. All right, Barry, we're done.
We are done.
We're done with the race, and you didn't finish the last one.
I just landed flat off the jump, and my front arm fell off.
But
it's okay.
You look good out there, at times.
I look good always.
And but you had fun, and got to talk a little bit about Kinwald, which was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
as
nice.
the main point of the weekend. And
That was the main point of the weekend, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, good times.
And then we'll see you back here 2 more times next year. We got the Desert Classic, we got the J Concepts INS, and then we'll have the other Kinwald race next year. So 3 times you'll be here next year, which is good.
Oh, it depends on real work.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Well, I know
you gonna
Frank will be here.
You gonna pay me to be here?
I won't personally,
Okay,
but I,
then, you know, there's these things that come monthly. It's called bills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's got to pay them.
Well, we know for sure Frank will be here at all 3 races, so you can at least come with him.
Hopefully.
Frank, he's got some. He had some good runs out there. You were leading the A2 of the 2-wheel, making some guys honest. Is that what they say?
Yeah, just
keeping you honest.
Ran out
Keeping
of
you
talent.
honest. You were keeping the guys honest. Ran out a little talent on the big jump.
Or a little bit of nerve, either one.
But I will say you were one of the rare ones that just, man, you could do that right side triple and 2-wheel and looked good when you nailed it. When you nailed it, it looked great.
Like this is one of the best layouts I've driven on in a long time.
Yeah.
It's kind of old school, which is exactly what it should have been.
Yeah.
And it was super fun. My cars were really good.
Obviously, I really sucked.
I made
gave him a lot of compliments.
I made a couple mistakes like later on the mains, but I was pretty happy with how I drove today. I haven't gotten to race as much at big races lately, so it's fun to get a chance to go out there and battle some of the fast kids. I had some really good battles with Tanner and Rob Gillespie, and it was good.
All right, well, good. Thanks for going.
Thanks for having us.
And good job. Cars look good. You're doing a great job, and
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Yep.
And you've been here all weekend. We're not talking to you because you're not old school enough.
Yeah.
But you were old school this weekend with your paint job.
Yeah.
You rocked a little bit of a vintage scheme, and you had some pretty good results. I thought there were some times you were super competitive, and you're making a little improvement each time you come out here.
Yeah, it went pretty good. I normally am not really super hot here when I come here, but was able to qualify 5th in 4-wheel and 7th in 2-wheel, and I think I finished. I'm not sure with how they're running the triple format, but I did pretty good. I would say I drove pretty good. I had some crashes when I didn't need to, but I drove pretty good overall. I'm pretty happy.
Let's see the 2-wheel here. Lay this thing. Obviously we got the little bit of a throwback paint job to BK. Got some drips on here, or as the man Cavalieri calls them sometimes, the bubbles. But I like the drips. And yeah, we've got this thing. Got a lot of pink in here, but it stands out. We know it's either you or Cole Pollard. Okay. The one you're running. I think it looks good though. Tires are working good this weekend. Mm-hmm. You're kind of finding a little bit of mojo here.
Yep.
So maybe Desert Classic next year.
Desert Classic, little buddy, is going down.
And then J Concepts race in July next year.
Double down.
He's going double down.
Double down.
And then another Kinwald
And then
Classic.
another Kinwald Classic. Guess what, little buddy?
Triple
Going down.
Triple down again.
We put on a good show out there for everyone. Hopefully Brian was looking down on all of us, and he was happy with how everything was going. And we all wish he was here. And it's definitely an incredible event that they put on for Brian. The guys here at Hobby Action definitely put on a great show. And of course, the camaraderie was awesome. I talk about good stories about him in the past. So yeah, it was overall good. I'm not really sure who won 2-wheel, but it looks like from a couple looking through the mains that it was just they're gonna do it by laps times from all 3, because me and Tanner Denny tied on points. So we'll see kind of where we end up.
All right, Spence, we're wrapped up here, and do a little mini video just to kind of close this thing out. So talk to us about finishing up this Kinwald Classic and moving into next year on this event. Are we going to do it again, you think?
Oh yeah, I mean the vibe this weekend was remarkable. Everyone had great things to say about the event. People from in California from OCRC came out that we really haven't seen, and those guys really loved the environment, the camaraderie that we had here, and of course the track itself. You know, first off, I really want to thank all the sponsors that were part of this race. Of course, with Larry and Nick at Hobby Action to put on this awesome event and to give us guys a place to race and have fun and to have good memories and to talk about at dinner and all that stuff. That's really what it's all about. Yeah, that was a good event. I'm glad that we were able to use the format from the J Concepts Dirt Invert race. I thought that was really awesome, and to have you, Jason, here doing the scenes and the videos and stuff's been awesome as well. And yeah, it's been remarkable. I'm looking forward to seeing what the event has in the future. I think it has definitely some big potential to move forward and make things better.
All right, well let's pack this up and we'll get some dinner and we're done.
Yep.